Diamonds are forever as we celebrate the career of Dustin Poirier as he retires in his final match at 318. Max Holloway still shows he's blessed man forever as he retains his BMF championship. Costa wins in the co-main event, and Michael Johnson shows he's still a menace to up-and-coming lightweights. People, thanks for joining us. It's UFC 318 reaction and recap. Sit back, relax. Let's talk about it. Yes, lovely people. I hope you're well. If this is the first time visiting the channel, on the road to 8,000 subscribers, so please subscribe, like this video, and leave your comments. I've got to address a few people in the chat. So anyone who doesn't watch any of my content on the football side of things, and you only watch the Sanderson Show stuff, you'll there was a little thing going around where I have what's called the cow curse, whereby any player I wanted Liverpool to sign seemed to not sign for the club. So I'm gonna address some of these straight away. So A9 says the cow cursed already effed up UFC. Very harsh, very harsh. Don Edward Chapman said cow curse gonna strike MMA fighters next. Again, very harsh. Um, very harsh. Big up Puff Cal again, harsh again. Harsh again, but no, all jokes aside, big up to you all. Big up to Scraps as always. Big up Manish, N Gibbs, A9, Don Edward Chapman, Theo, Liam, Umer, and John Conway in the building, guys. Please do smash that like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Right, I'm going to start with the main event of the evening. This whole last week has been a love letter to Dustin Poirier. A week of appreciation, a week of admiration, and fully deserved for the diamond of Lafayette, Louisiana, who went out on his shield, as he always does, and got to fight for the last time in front of a home crowd, walked out by Lil Tunechi, Lil Wayne. And look, Dustin Poirier, man, where do we begin? Shout out to Pimpin' Stress in the building. I could never forget you, my brother. Where do you begin with this guy, man? Dustin Poirier is a fighter's favorite fighter, a legend of the sport. I know that term gets thrown around loosely, but he is a legend of the sport. I cannot think of one boring Dustin Poirier fight. And you think about the catalogue of fighters he's fought, never turned anyone down, never ducked a fight, never used politics to get his way into positions. Bit down on his gum shield and fought for everything he earned. And I'm just going to be straight with you. As someone who's a dad and a husband, I look at someone like Poirier and I'm inspired by him for what he's built for his family, the connection him and his wife have, the connection him and his kids. I think his wife might have one on the way or just had another little one recently. The dad he seems to be from the outside, the work he's done with the Good Fight Foundation and charity. Nothing but admiration for Dustin Poirier. He may never see this video, and if he doesn't, that's absolutely fine. But we appreciate you as an MMA fan. We appreciate you. Thank you for everything you did inside the octagon. I hope you have a fantastic retirement. And if you are to ever step back in the cage, I hope it's on your terms. But because of what you've said, I hope you never have to step back in the cage. You've earned everything you've done. And big up to you, Dustin Poirier, man. An absolute legend. And it's been an honor and a privilege to have watched his career unfold. If I could change one thing in Dustin Poirier's career, that, in my opinion, would be he could have been able to be an undisputed champion. If I could turn back the time and give him one thing, it'd be that. But he was interim champion, fought for the BMF title twice, and he goes down as a first ballot Hall of Famer. Has to. Absolutely has to. Fought three of the greatest lightweight champions in the history of the sport as well. So it's not like he came up against scrubs and couldn't get over the line. No, he came up against three of the best in their primes. Dustin Poirier, salute to you, man. Salute to you. But we also have to give a special mention to his dance partner. And going into this fight, Max Holloway had all the pressure. Was the villain coming into enemy territory. Was 0-2 in this trilogy. And was coming off the back of a knockout loss, the first in his career. And he came out and showed why he is such a supremely good fighter. And watching the fight yesterday, he put on a... Do you know what, Umair? Took the words right out of my mouth, bro. He put on a clinic. I know some judges had it 3 rounds to 2 and 4 rounds to 1. I'm going to be honest with you. I think you could easily have had that fight as 5 rounds to 0. Max won the first round. In my opinion, won round 3, 4, and 5. The only round that was a swinger round was round 2. But even then, I know Poirier got him hurt towards the end of the round. Even then, Max dominated that round and almost got Poirier out of there in that round. I think people forget that. At worst for Max, it was 4 rounds to 1. At best, it was 5-0. But each round was competitive. But Max at lightweight is a beast. And it begs the question, why didn't he go up sooner? If he'd gone up sooner, maybe, just maybe, we could be talking about him fighting for a title now. Because think about it, guys. If we go by the rankings, which for me is what we should be going by, and I'll share this screen so you guys can see it. If we go by the rankings, Poirier is now 55-pound champion. Max is ranked number 5. Above him is Justin Gaethje, who's ranked number 4. But, I mean, we all watched it. We all saw Max point down in the middle of the cage with Justin Gaethje with the last 10 seconds, and we all saw him sleep Justin Gaethje. So right now, he should be at least number 4 in the rankings. Oliveira, he's got a win over as well, even though that was years back. Sarukian and Makhachev has gone up to 170. There's an argument to say if Max didn't take that Poirier fight at 145, Max right now could be fighting for the lightweight title next against whoever the champion is. Now, obviously, it's Poirier. Now, Liam, I hear what you're saying, that you think Ilias can sleep Max easily. There's an argument to say Max is going to be more durable at 55 than at 45 because he's not as weight drained. And again, I want everyone to go back to that Ilya fight with Max. Max was winning that fight before he got caught. It's not like he went in there and just got blitzed. Max was winning the fight, was starting to piece up Poirier quite a bit. Remember, Poirier, his knee almost gave out on him because of the jumping side kicks to the knee from Max Holloway as well. Max is trouble for Poirier. Do I think Poirier beats Max if they fight again? Yes, I do. I'm not going to use recency bias. But Max is a problem for Poirier. Let's not get that twisted, people. Max is a problem for anyone. And I have got a show tomorrow, Matchmaker Monday. So I'm not going to go into the details of who I think he should fight next. But he's in a very good position. He's in a really good position in a division where there's no real clear contender right now. Dare I say it, Max has thrown his name into the hat. And I know people will turn around and say straight away, well, before last fight, his last fight before that was against Poirier. You're right. There's a different weight, different division. I do think the UFC could make that fight, and I think that could happen potentially. But I will go into more detail on that tomorrow. Just to get through some of your comments before I continue. Craig says, big up Craig Richardson, says he was picking him off all over. I agree. Max looked good. Liam says the last McGregor fight is the one I'd change. I wish he got the win decisively. Yeah, I hear that. I hear that. Let's talk about Dustin Poirier. Don Edwards says Jake Paul wants Usyk. Yeah, he wants Usyk in MMA. Let's call the full story, bro. He wants Usyk in MMA because he knows in a boxing ring that would end extremely bad for him. Umair says Dustin low-key chickened out at the last 10 seconds when Max was started throwing in the center. I'm going to be honest. Max throwing in the center might be one of the scariest things in the world because he was piecing Poirier up. And if Poirier didn't start grabbing, Poirier could have been on the floor like Gaethje was. Cringe Gov says it should be Max versus Charles. I have my thoughts and opinions on that, but we'll get into that in more detail tomorrow. Craig says Max will swing it out of Ngannou. I reckon he probably would. The guy's crazy, man. Liam says Max gets caught in every fight. Ilya, the one guy you can't let him catch you. I agree with that. That's why I've got Ilya winning if they fought again. However, I do think Max presents Ilya with so many issues on the feet as well. Just like everyone that Max presents issues to as well. Right, want to go to the co-main event, and that was Costa beating Kopylov. Now, I did not expect this one, guys. I thought Kopylov was going to beat Costa, but we saw rejuvenated and re-energized Costa in there. And it was, look, I'm going to be real. It was quite refreshing to see. It wasn't the most entertaining fight, but Costa fought very well. Was evading punches and kicks, was throwing his own kicks and punches. A very well-deserved victory, in my opinion. And a really good win for Costa. I'm really intrigued to see what happens next. Look, he called out Chimaev. We know them two have got history, whether it be at the PI and things over social media. They were meant to fight. Costa got staph infection, had to pull out the fight. I think Chimaev also pulled out of one of the fights they had scheduled as well. Look, the issue with Costa getting that fight with Chimaev is if Chimaev wins the belt, Costa's not going to be next in line for it. However, if Chimaev doesn't beat Duplessis, then that's the next fight. It has to be. But will remain to be seen what happens there. But big up to Paulo Costa, winding the clock back and looking very, very good in there yesterday. Then we move on to D-Rod versus Kevin Holland. Fourth time Kevin Holland's fought in 2025, and it looked like it. He looked off the pace. D-Rod put it on him from early. Kevin looked off the pace. He was throwing wild and wasn't throwing straight punches. And D-Rod, look, he pieced him up a little bit. Almost got stopped in the second round, I think. Kevin also got D-Rod into some trouble as well. But for me, it was a deserved win for Rodriguez. And that breaks him into the top 15 of the welterweight division. Something I never thought I'd see or hear. But congratulations to D-Rod. Completely deserved the win. But I think, it poses a question. Is fighting 4 times in a year too much? And again, I just want to bring up Kevin Holland's record. Because, again, he's not just fighting idiots. He's fighting top fighters. So, his first fight of the year was against Derrida. That was in January. And he lost that fight up at 185. Then he fought again in March and beat Gunnar Nelson. Then he fought again in June and beat Vicente Luque. And now he's fought again in July. Not only is he fighting 4 times in a year, he's fighting very, very quick turnarounds. And not one of those fighters was a scrub. So, yes, I don't want to take any credit away from Daniel Rodriguez. However, Kevin Holland and his team might have to look at whether he should be fighting that often when he's fighting this caliber of opponent. But knowing Kevin Holland, I wouldn't be surprised if he fights another 2 times this year. What are we? July the 20th now. I'm just going to put it out there. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Kevin Holland fight in September and then December. Or even, I'm going to go September and December. I think we may see Kevin Holland fight another 2 times this year. That's how crazy he is. That's how dedicated to the sport he is. Do I recommend it? Probably not. But that would, if I'm not mistaken, that'd be a record in the UFC, right? 6 fights in 1 calendar year. I think that'd be a record. So we'll see again. Other fights on the card. Dan Ige versus Patricio Pitbull. I had Dan Ige winning this going into the fight. However, Patricio did roll the clock back and look really good. Again, now breaks into the top 15 officially. with a good win. The 45-pound division is a weird one at the moment. I'm going to do a video on that probably later on this week because I can't get my head around that division. And look, obviously with Evloev pulling out of his fight with Aaron Pico, there's no clear number one contender now. Volk needs fights. Volk's getting older as well. Volk needs fights. I don't like the idea of Yair Rodriguez getting another title fight. I don't think he's earned one. But it seems like there's no one else who could get one. I don't know what's going on with Arnold Allen, etc. Very interesting to see what happens there. And then obviously the fight that opened up the card was Michael Johnson versus Dan Zellhuber. I thought Zellhuber was going to do it, but the menace showed that he could roll back the clock and play spoiler for this new up-and-coming fighter. I just thought Zellhuber fought the wrong fight. Michael Johnson was able to close distance, got a couple of knockdowns. He was the bully in there, and I thought Zellhuber would have done that. I thought he'd have tried to walk him down and close distance. It was the polar opposite. And shout out to Michael Johnson. I have a really, really fun fight that I'd like him to fight next. Don't know if he does it. Don't know if the UFC will ever see this video and will he ever do make that fight. But I'd really like to see that fight. Could be a fun one. But look, people, I want to get your thoughts. I'm going to give the UFC 318 an overall ranking, and it's going to sound really harsh. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. I think you take the main event away, which in my opinion should have won Fight of the Night. It was a pretty mediocre card. There were no finishes on the main card. The fights weren't greatly exciting, but there were some good performances in there. So I'm going to go with a 5 out of a 10. So let me know your thoughts on that. Ash says Sugar Sean needs to go up in weight and give it a go. We'll see. That could be an option. I don't see him getting back to the title as long as Merab has the championship. But if he can still make the weight comfortably, then he might stay there. But if he can go up to 45, O'Malley would be one fight away from fight for the belt. However, I think Volk is all wrong for O'Malley. But we've also seen Aljo go up from 35 to 45 and have success there as well. N Gibbs says the main event carried. Big up to Leon says Jamie suffered. Yeah, Jamie and Luke. Luke was starting to nod off as well a little bit. For the first time, I was the one waking the boys up. Liam says Holland going for the record of most fights in a year. Madman. Yeah, I think he is. I think he'll fight another 2 times to get that record. I think he shares the record. I'm not sure who with, but with on 5 at the moment. But he'd be the outward record holder with 6. So yeah, people, let me know your thoughts. As I said, I'll be back live tomorrow for, with 2 shows. MMA Monday in the evening and Matchmaker Monday in the morning. So people, if you haven't already, smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Mind how you go. And thank you for watching the Sanderson Show. Take care.